I want to do something a little bit different today. I want to give you some motivation. I want to tell you just a short story that I hope will help carry you through. I know, this is end of semester time. For some of you, this is your summer. And for many of you, you're probably preparing for the NCLEX or you're preparing to start nursing school. So I want to tell you a short story that kind of made nursing, my profession as a nurse, my motivation to become a nurse, and starting NRSNG really come full circle for me. You never know the reach you will have as a nurse. You never know the patients' lives you will touch. Throughout your career, you'll touch tens of thousands of patients. You'll counsel them, you'll comfort them, you'll support them. And many of those times, you'll never see that impact. Now, I had a really special experience just last month, and I want to share it with you. I haven't shared this publicly yet on the blog or email or anything, but in the last year, my mom's parents, my grandma and my grandpa, both passed away almost exactly 1 year apart from each other. And during my first semester of nursing school, in 2011, one of my grandpas died. Okay, my grandpa Haas passed away. And that was February of 2011, and I've talked about how NRSNG started and how kind of destitute financially and things my wife and I were. We had just moved from Houston up to Illinois to start nursing school, and this was my very first semester. It was in my first 6 weeks. Nursing school started in January, and in February, beginning of February, I found out that my grandpa had passed away in Arizona. So my parents were kind enough to pay for a plane ticket for me to go out there. And by the way, my wife at this time was 7 months pregnant. Okay, so I left my wife there and went out to the funeral to see my grandpa, or to attend my grandpa's funeral. And throughout this process, as he was passing away, he was in the hospital, and he was a rancher. He was a dairy farmer. He was a rancher, a very tough guy. Never had really been to the hospital. So throughout the course of the last few weeks of his life, he was in the hospital, and nurses were taking care of him. And then when he passed away, and then when I went to his funeral, I had this kind of epiphany, okay? And I had this thought that when I'm caring for patients in nursing school, and when I become a nurse, I'm taking care of someone's grandpa. I'm literally touching and caring for someone's grandfather that they love, that they trust me with. And that really impacted me very greatly. That really changed the way that I saw patients. I began to see patients as someone's loved one, someone's dad, someone's brother, someone's mom, someone's sister, someone's child, someone's grandpa. And I hoped, and I prayed at the time that, those nurses were taking good care of my grandpa, that they were taking as good of care of him as what I would. And I realized that I wanted patients and patients' families to be able to trust me so deeply that they saw that I cared for their loved one as much as they would. I wanted them to be able to sleep at night when they came to the hospital, to trust that, okay, John's going to take care of Grandpa. We can sleep, we can go home, we can rest. That meant a lot to me, okay? And that really impacted and changed the way that I saw patients and the way that I began to take care of patients. So throughout the remaining time in nursing school, I really started to apply that. And then when I began to work as a nurse, I also began to do that. And, I started to hear things from patients' families like, we've been up here every night just worried about Grandma, worried about Grandpa, whatever it was. And now we feel like we can rest. We feel like we can go home because they saw that, look, I understand that this is your loved one, and I'm not going to do anything to them that's going to hurt them, and I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to make sure that they're comfortable. I'm going to make sure that they rest. And I worked in a neuro ICU and saw a lot of very sick patients, saw a lot of people pass away, saw a lot of, very emergent kind of deaths. Grandma was fine at dinner. She comes in, she passes away. And I really tried to care for patients very deeply. Now, when my grandma, who died just last year, passed away, she actually passed away of a stroke. So she was in a neuro unit. And so my family out in Arizona would call every now and then, every night, every other night, and just kind of ask, hey, John, is this right? Are they looking over this right? Is this good? And so I would provide them with some advice, some tips, and kind of more than anything, as it got close to the end, I would kind of let them know, this is what is probably to be expected. When my grandpa got sick, my grandpa started suffering from dementia about 5 years ago, and then kind of started to become really sick in just the last month or so of his life, and he was in and out of the hospital. Okay, and so then he got pneumonia, and as a lot of you know, for 90-year-olds that already have dementia and aren't very healthy, when they get pneumonia, that can really kind of be the end of it. So he was out in Arizona as well, and this was just last month, April of 2017. So when he was out there on his last night in the hospital, he was really sick. My mom kind of texted me and let me know what was going on and everything. And her brother, my uncle, who lives out there in Arizona, he went up to the hospital with him. Two of my uncles were up there at the hospital with my grandpa on his last night. At one moment, as my grandpa was kind of slipping away, and as my grandpa was passing away, my uncle mentioned, I have a nephew who's a nurse. He actually runs this website, NRSNG.com. And the nurse stopped what she was doing, turned to my uncle and said, "Oh my goodness, I love NRSNG." She said, "Without NRSNG, I would have never made it through nursing school." You guys, I can't explain to you what that really means to me. In that moment, I felt like the vow that I had made with myself 6 years ago in my first semester of nursing school to care deeper for my patients had really come full circle. After seeing, my grandpa die in 2011 and saying, I want to take better care of patients. I want to truly care and show families that I care. And then fast forward the clock, 6.5 years, and to hear a nurse say that my advice, my experiences, had helped them to take better care of my other grandpa. That means so much to me. You never know the impact you're going to have. But you must always care for your patients. You must take good care of them. You must show families that you care. Okay? And you have to do your best every day to care for them. Realize that these are people's family members. And on another note, you guys, that means so much to me to think that, it's easy with NRSNG and with what we do here to get a little bit lost in the numbers, to look at, last month, the website was visited 750,000 times, 750,000 page visits. And it's easy to get lost in those numbers. Or, the podcast is downloaded 250,000 times each month. And it's so easy to get lost in those numbers, you guys. And what I've determined from this experience, this is another kind of epiphany, this is another kind of waking up with my grandpa passing away and hearing the story of an NRSNG subscriber and user and family member, is that we have this army of the NRSNG family out there taking care of patients, caring for them. And I want to let you guys know that I feel that weight, and I appreciate that. And I love each of you guys. And I take very deeply that responsibility that we have with this platform of NRSNG, and everyone that works with NRSNG does as well. All the other nurses, all the customer service people, everyone, all the programmers, everyone that works with NRSNG takes very deeply this responsibility that we have of having this platform where you guys are learning from us and learning with us and growing with us and being part of this family. We aren't here to just throw together a bunch of junk and try to get a bunch of people to subscribe. We are here to provide you with the tools and the confidence that you need to succeed in nursing school, on the NCLEX, and throughout your life as a nurse. And what I want you to take from today, you guys, is that you never know the impact you're going to have. Go out there, be your best self. Take care of people. Use what motivated you to become a nurse, to care for every single patient, every single shift. We truly love you guys. We want you to succeed. Because I don't know if one day one of you will take care of me, or will take care of my mom, or one of my children. So thank you for being part of this NRSNG family. We are making a big difference in the world. We love you guys. Now go out and be your best self today. Happy nursing.